Okay, so we're back.
Yes.
Okay, so here's a tough one because you're going to have to explain it for somebody like me to get it.
Oh, you're a smart woman, Belinda.
Duality. Well, there's some concepts that are kind of out there for me.
I know. Oh, duality. Okay.
Duality.
Yeah. Well, you have a good background and you've worked with a lot of scientists, and I know that, and you're very spiritual and intuitive. So if you don't get it, then there's a reason. And so,
Okay.
yeah, it's probably, a lot of people don't define what it is, and it's all dependent on what lens you're looking at. But it could be as simple as when you say duality, there's conflict and there's opposites, and there's me versus you, and there's a separation involved. There's an observer and an object, and we have a separation between the observer and the object. It's not the same thing. Or there's good and bad, black and white. I guess these are just simple things. And as you start to learn duality, you're like, okay, so is duality something I don't like life? Is that why I have trouble with life and things are difficult? Is this duality thing? Are we going to move beyond duality? But at some level, there's a contrast that allows you to experience reality in a certain sense. And you can think of things as polarities too. So think about the masculine and feminine, Shemesh and Shemaiah, or a positive and a negative, and you have these polarities and they dance around each other around a still 0 point. And in order to even exist, you have to have polarity to begin with. So it's like, we can try to get rid of polarity altogether, but then you wouldn't exist. So let's say we come out of the void, you come out of the void, and then there's a polarity, and then that polarity allows you to exist, and you have different polarizations. So there's a feminine and masculine, positive, negative, and they dance around a neutral point that allows existence to occur. So that's really important. But duality itself, and based on the new age too, depends on who you ask. But a lot of times it's very transient based on what perspective you're looking from. So it can come and go depending on who you ask. For me, duality is a reality interplay of physics where there's a contrast that allows you to experience the physical world. So let's say you know what love is because you experienced fear. You know what light is because you experienced darkness. But to transcend duality is to understand that it's all part of the same thing, and that they're not really two things going against each other as much as they're a spin of the same thing that allows you to experience what you're experiencing, although it can cause pain at times, because we can associate duality with pain. If it's, well, I just want to be in love, I don't want to be in fear, I just want to have all lights, I don't want to do dark. And so there's this underlying psychological imprint of separation when you talk about duality. And it's really removing that illusion of separation from the equation and understanding that it's all part of unity. It's not all part of separation. So if you look at duality from a point of unity instead of a point of separation, then you'll have a better idea in which direction will make you feel better. At least that should help empower you a little bit. It's just getting past that separation, the illusion that we're separate, things are separate, that we're different. And then the duality will eventually be like, okay, maybe that's what it is. At least for today, under these current frequencies, that's how I describe it in a very simplistic manner.
Okay. I guess what I'm coming back with on this.
Yeah.
I guess maybe I had an idea that it was going to be like the question or the answer, but it's not. It seems like it's something on the same stick, dark versus light. So one of them is not good or bad. It's just a continuum, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a gradient, it's a continuum. And so fear is actually just really low. If it's on a continuum, if we take that perspective, then fear is just really low frequency love, because everything's love.
Yeah.
And fear is just really low vibrancy. It's really low frequency love. It's not that fear is different and the opposite of love. and that love is the cure for fear. It's that love is high frequency and fear is low frequency. And so what we refer to love, if we take love as a bigger definition, it's all that is and makes everything that is love. So fear is part of and is made up of love. It's just lower frequency on that spectrum or that continuum. Yeah. So that would be an easier way. But yeah, that's a hard question because it's different.
Yeah.
It's new agey, and it depends on who you ask, and it's very opinionated. So I have no problem, talking about duality and polarizing people, pun intended, but that's open up for other perspectives. There's a lot of different ways of looking at it. There's physics way, there's new age way, there's simple yogic sciences way, but what resonates with you? And I think that's whole separation, separateness versus different sides thing that comes in a little bit. But what are your other thoughts on duality, Belinda? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, you made it definitely more simple than I tried to read it before. I mean, matter of fact, when I've watched YouTube videos on it, I was just like, I have no idea what they're talking about. But maybe that was the intent. But
the definitions were critical. So how are you supposed to build on a conversation if you don't know what the person's definition of duality is?
Yeah.
So the first thing you have to figure out is what is that person's definition of duality, and then you'll be able to make sense out of it. But if you jump into a conversation and just refer to it in a particular way, and you don't know what the person's referring to and what that means to them, that's where you get lost in translation.
Yeah.
So even with coaching or communication, I never underestimate the significance of understanding the definitions of what some of these words we're using. Spirituality is no different. It's really important. Physics. So I can't state enough understanding what the definitions are. So with that being said, what is your definition of duality, Belinda?
I actually like the continuum.
Okay.
That makes a lot of sense for me.
Oh, it does.
Then I'm not kind of putting energy toward, this one's better than that one, or this one's higher frequency than that one. If it's just a continuum of, like a stick, this is what we have on this end and this is what we have on that end.
Yeah.
That works for me.
And a lot of people say, that's why they say, avoid duality by being neutral. Stay in neutrality. And so the whole neutrality point. So that helps too.
Okay. I don't know, when it sounds like, love and fear or love and no love or whatever, I'm definitely going to stay on the love end.
I understand that, but what about Democrat, Republican? What about what's your true expression? Is it pure light, or is there some darkness there? And can light exist without darkness? Doesn't light come from the void? Isn't the expanse of all that is? We're light emerging from the void at every eternal moment, so coming to grips with that whole duality is really trying to resolve conflict within yourself, to split you, cause a split away from unity. And so you really want to find unity and wholeness, and part of that is getting rid of that split mentality, that split psychology, that perception that is perceiving through a split lens when you don't have to, and find unity. And unity is the source of unity is love. So
okay, I like that definition.
Everyone's just as much as an expert as I am, Belinda. So
well, anyway, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.